Innovation could not exist without creativity. They go hand in hand. Many successful businesses in the Forbes 500 list have formal diversity programs in place to ensure that different cultures, races, genders, and backgrounds are represented in the work group. The actions of organizational leaders are vital in creating an environment where creativity can grow and thrive. The purpose of this study is to answer the question, does high leadership engagement increase the effectiveness of corporate diversity programs? This research will be most valuable to senior leaders of large hotel and hospitality companies looking to increase their creativity and innovation within their organization. And the findings of this research will be disseminated through the Chicago Hotel Human Resources Association and the Society for Human Resource Management. The actions of organizational leaders are vital in creating an environment where creativity can grow and thrive. It has been recognized that diverse work groups are commonly more creative than homogeneous work groups. However, current research does not sufficiently establish a causational relationship between diversity, leadership, and their impact on the productivity of an organization. Homogeneous groups, all having similar experience, educational background, and gender, will likely draw the same conclusions and have similar solutions to problems, while diverse groups will vary in their perspective and thus find different and likely more creative solutions to problems. A study conducted in 2004 examined 241 European businesses across 8 countries that sponsor diversity programs across their web-based platforms. The objective of this research was to identify the drivers and stages of diversity management and the impact they have on the successful application of diversity programs. In this study, the researchers utilized a social constructionist approach to assess online web pages listing diversity statements. The study concluded that companies who advertised their commitment to diversity were seen as more successful, more productive, and significantly ahead of their European peers. A study conducted in 2016 detailed the outcomes experienced when management made efforts towards creating a climate of diversity and inclusion in the workplace. Beneficial outcomes experienced include increased job satisfaction, satisfaction with coworkers, effective commitment, professional commitment, job tenure, and retention, while detrimental outcomes include increased turnover, absenteeism, intention to leave, job stress, and emotional exhaustion. Having recognized the relationship between diversity and innovation, it is critical to establish the importance of the leader's role in this process and the basis for this assumption. Expectancy is the concept that a worker's expectation that a certain behavior will lead to a certain outcome. It is a belief by an individual that their skills and aptitudes will lead to a successful result. To measure the effect of leadership engagement on the effectiveness of a diversity program, the format of the study will be a test-retest experiment that will take place in 3 phases: recording, intervention, and measurement, with an experimental group and a control group. Each group will consist of 3 downtown Chicago hotels. In the evaluation phase, the performance of each of the participating hotels will be measured against the balanced scorecard. This scorecard consists of financial performance, employee engagement, and the guest satisfaction. These 3 factors will be scored on an index rating, measuring month-over-month growth in each area. The second phase of the experiment will consist of leadership intervention. For the experimental group, or Group 1, the leaders of the participating hotels will receive training on the effective implementation of diversity programs. They will also have weekly meetings with senior leadership to discuss the value of diversity programs. The control group will not receive this training, nor will they take part in the coaching sessions. Both groups of leaders will have access to the same resources: job applicant pools, marketing platforms, and equal budgets relative to the size of the property. To ensure motivation, the leaders in both groups will receive bonus wages for successful performance against the previously mentioned balanced scorecard business goals. The final phase of the experiment will remeasure the balanced scorecard performance of each of these hotels. Next, let's discuss the data collection tools that will be used for this experiment. First, overall revenue growth from one phase of the experiment to the next will determine financial performance. Employee engagement will be evaluated by a 40-question survey to determine their opinions relating to their workplace and their commitment to the success of their team. The survey consists of questions in 5 key areas: leadership relationships, teamwork, innovation, intent to recommend the workplace, and rewards beyond wages. The survey will consist of 8 questions for each area to ensure validity in the results. The final data collection tool, guest satisfaction, will be determined by a 20-question survey issued to hotel guests upon departure. This survey will focus on guests' opinions of the quality of service during their stay in the hotel. It too will focus on 5 areas: value for price paid, staff service, problem resolution, intent to recommend the hotel, and intent to return to the property. The responses from both surveys, both the guest satisfaction and employee satisfaction, will be ordinal data rated on a 5-point Likert scale. The primary assumption of this study, based on supporting research, is that diversity positively impacts the performance of teams, and that leadership engagement will increase this effect. This leads to the ultimate limitation of the study, in that many unforeseen variables can impact the success of a team, and it's difficult to isolate the specific impact of diversity on the performance of the company other than to draw conclusions about the relationship based on the presence of both variables in the experiment. The greatest risk involved in this research is due to social injury from personal information becoming public. There is an actual risk of psychological harm to a participant who could be embarrassed, face consequences, or fear retaliation upon the disclosure of information about their intelligence or political affiliation to an employer. In most circumstances, information from participants must be kept anonymous, and names must not be used in stored information. No one should be able to identify participants from results. This project requires the collection of personal data and demographics about the participants in the study. Since the study pertains to workplace diversity, it will require information about race, gender, ethnicity, location of origin, age, educational background, and salary range. It will also include data pertaining to the company's profit and loss statements, employee engagement levels, and guest satisfaction ratings to determine the impact of the experimental variables. To ensure the security of the information, personally identifiable information will not be disclosed with research results. Additionally, only financial information made publicly available to company shareholders will be released with the research findings. Creativity and innovation are inevitably linked to one another. The resistance created by the differences innate to each individual in a group can spark creativity if organizational leaders create an environment where each individual still feels a connection to the group. The research shows that diversity can have a positive effect on performance of an organization, which can be enhanced if the leadership embraces the culture and adopts the environment where inclusion is appreciated. The key to the success for any diversity and inclusion program is to ensure that the strategies and measures, as well as the expected outcome and advantages of the program, are clearly defined and publicized.